Hey folks, welcome back to another video. I am personally very excited about this one. This is one of my favorite topics, but before we get into it, please take some time and watch my other video on how to bulk upload trading cards to eBay, because that will help a lot to frame your understanding around an automated pricing technique for your bulk batches of trading cards. And this can work with any spreadsheet. This is something a buddy of mine and I have been developing for a while. It's finally getting to a point where it's worth sharing, and very soon it will get to a point where it's really worth using at scale, definitely for my eBay shop and maybe yours or someone else's or other people's in the near future. The name of the game here, and a lot of this will derive from that bulk upload template video, but the name of the game is how the heck can I fill out this price column without digging up comps or comparable sales of that exact card or something that may be similar. If you're familiar with looking at comps, pretty much this is the standard way to do it. Here off screen, I'm staring at a Jeff Jenkins 2004 Leaf Certified Cuts card that I have no idea how much this thing is actually worth. The one I have is some random parallel from 2004. Leaf had a lot of those back in the day, and it's serial number to 100. He's playing for the Brewers, and I want to know what I should price this card at. Of course, I could guess or use intuition, and that's great, but it'd be great to know offhand or automatically how I should price this. So the typical way for looking up comps, you're going to type in your card or something very similar to it in the search bar on eBay or 130point.com or some other type of auction house or similar, and you're going to look up what it's listed at. So I can see a bunch of sellers are selling a base card version, non-parallel, it's not serial number 200, for $1.99. Not too much. Well, what about sold items? That's usually a bit more telling than the list price. And well, similar story here. Don't have really any exact matches of what I'm looking for, although this is pretty close. A fairly recent sale a month ago. Sean Casey, this is numbered to 100. We'll just go ahead and pull this item up just for kicks and grins, but this might be a fair comp for my Jeff Jenkins card that I don't know how to price. So disappointingly, probably could only sell at $199 if it does, but wouldn't it be nice to not spend all this time typing that information in, looking at old stuff, and spending my time and money at the end of the day to get $1.99. And so with that, what we've been developing is a machine learning approach to price everything at one time. So building off the same example from my bulk upload template video, you can see this is the shorthand spreadsheet that I use to input my trading cards. What happens here is this information gets converted through a Python script to the official eBay.csv comma separated value template that actually goes live to the eBay marketplace. So I save quite a bit of time typing in the shorthand, not worrying about capitalization. You can see this first one, Daisuke Matsuzaka, 2009 is the year, Topps World Baseball Classic is the product. It doesn't have a team because he's on the Japanese national team, and I want to put Japan as extra text and apply my fixed price and eBay standard envelope policies to this listing. And the Python script, as kind of hinted at in the other video, will convert all of this to the proper fields that eBay needs to make a listing. And the list goes on and on. So in this example, looks like I have 45 or so cards, a lot of Topps Gold parallels, a few rookies, and I really don't like spending the time looking up comps. Of course, I could guess on a lot of these, and I do have pretty good subject matter expertise to have a feel for what these things are worth, but that's at the risk of maybe severely underpricing something that I may not consider valuable. And so trying to automate this, I'll spend a couple of minutes really giving a practical description of what machine learning is and how it can be applied to solve this problem of pricing all of these things in bulk based on the card characteristics. So machine learning, big, gnarly word, overused in industry. I'm an engineer and I hear it all the time, that and things of the like, artificial intelligence and things like that. But practically speaking, for this application, think of machine learning like this. Imagine a machine that can go through all of these sold items, and these happen to be my most recent sales on eBay from my store. And the machine goes through and it has a really darn good memory, and it can remember the player name, it can remember the year, it can remember the product, what the characteristics are. For instance, is it a gold parallel, and is it serial numbered, what team it was the player on, and was it a rookie card, was it a relic card, was it a vintage stock parallel? You get my drift. So the machine does a really, really good job remembering all this. It even knows that it wasn't the full price that was listed that this sold for, but actually what the actual sale price was. So it's remembering things, it's going down the list, and it can go down this list for the past 3 years that I've been active on eBay. So all the way back to 2022, 2023, 2024, every sale that I've had, catch all those characteristics and memorize those. And then we use that information to train, is the term that they use within the machine learning community, we'll say. But we use this information of actual historical sales data to train a model that can predict what this price should be based on these characteristics, based on who the player is, based on the year, the product, especially the features, the serial number, and additional parameters that are in this machine learning model. So the machine remembers all of this from the past 3 years. It reads what I want to list to eBay, and it dictates what the price should be based on all of this information. Pretty nifty stuff, but it's really only nifty if it works and if it is practical for the user. In this case, the user is me. I'm trying to upload these 45 cards to eBay. So we have this model set up that in the background there's this whiz-bang machine learning script. It reads all of this information, all of my sales, as many pages as you want to go back, and it reads these 45 entries and it tells me how I should price these. So with a click of a button in the background, it generates this response page, which corresponds to the information that actually goes into the spreadsheet. So I'll add 2 columns here just to keep things congruent and to make it, I guess, obvious which listings these associate with. But this takes no time. It runs and it spits out how these things should be priced. The other columns here I'll also copy over, but this is getting at some a little bit more high-level math than I want to get into this video, but related to confidence bounds for how this pricing could or should work. And so with zero effort on my part, besides storing those sales, that historical sales data and spitting it into the model, it can guess what the prices of these cards should be. So, of course, we need to do a sanity check and see if this makes any sense. And the disclaimer here is this is really our first cut at this. Machine learning works best after a little bit of tuning and after more and more data is collected. So this is really just off the shelf with minimal to no decision making on should we toggle these things up or down. But you're going to spend the time pricing these anyways, and it's maybe worth having this as a starting point or as at least as a reference point, even though we know this is going to get more accurate in time. So a few examples stand out. We'll just go ahead and look at all these Topps Gold parallels from 2008. You can see quite a collection here. I bought a large lot and I listed them. In this expected price column for these different players, I mean, mind you, they're very similar cards, right? They're all gold. A few of them are rookie cards, but this price column might give a good idea of how these things should be priced. And based on all the historical sales information, the model is suggesting that we should list a Greg Maddux 2008 Topps Gold parallel at $2.56. You'll see that number quite a bit here, and you might be able to make a reasonable assumption as to how this model is working in the background by looking at these numbers. For instance, the next one, Hiraki Kuroda, is gold and a rookie card, and it is listed at $3.15. And similarly, Denard Span, his rookie card from the same set with equal characteristics, is also $3.15. The fall back right now is to use your subject matter expertise based on this initial cut. And the reason for that is right now our model is not considering actually who the player is. That is in our next round of development, which is going to be really exciting because we're going to read the statistics of all these players and really be able to differentiate and get more specific on pricing suggestions for, say, Topps Gold parallels. Subject matter expertise, your gut would tell you that, say, a Mark Teixeira or Matt Holliday card should not be priced the same as, I don't know, Pedro Martinez or Randy Johnson or Mariano Rivera if all of the characteristics are the same. And that is totally true. As a starting point, as I saw these, I recognized that and said, hey, that's pretty good to know. I'm actually going to tick the price up on guys like Johnson and Rivera, Pedro Martinez, and maybe even consider ticking it down on Prince Fielder and Mark Teixeira and Johnny Damon and Chris Carpenter and the like. The way the model's working now is that if I was blindfolded and you just handed me a Topps Gold parallel from 2008 and I couldn't see who the player was and you asked me what that card was worth and all I knew that it was gold, any player, pick your player, I would say $2.56. And if it happened to be a rookie card, I would say, if I was the machine, $3.15, which all told is a pretty good list price for that exact card, not considering the player. If you just randomly had a batch and you wanted to know how to price a 2008 Topps Gold card, that'd be a pretty competitive rate. You can see I have a ton of Topps Gold parallels and 239, 249. Of course, these are from 2015, but you get the like. They're commons. They are parallels. 249 from 2005. 256 is actually a pretty darn knowledgeable guess for that predicted sales price based on the card characteristics, not knowing or caring who the player is. And I will reiterate, our next round of development will incorporate their statistics such as WAR, wins above replacement, and that will really help us be able to tell and know, hey, Chipper Jones is probably going to sell for more than Eric Chavez. But at the start of things, first cut, pretty darn pleased with a average list price of $256 based on this and the fact that I don't have to spend any time thinking about this the first go round. I can automatically fill this column and then use my gut feel, my intuition to go in and price. So that's one example. You can see there's some other things that I think are mispriced compared to reality, but within the ballpark. And so I'll talk about those for a few minutes. You see some of these just standard base cards. There's really nothing special about most of these except for some rookie cards that in many cases are mass produced. And looking at these, the model would spit out this price as the expected one. But with these confidence bounds, which you can assign some percentage of confidence to, it does tick a little bit lower than what the first pass at the model would suggest. And all told, 179 to 249 for a Daisuke Matsuzaka card from 2009 is not an unreasonable amount if it sells. Of course, we know we could probably find this in a dime box or a quarter box or a team lot for much cheaper. One of the downsides of selling singles at volume on eBay is that all these prices with shipping factored are going to have a minimum that's not incredibly low. In all likelihood, something like this, as I mentioned, might be a dime card, might be a quarter card, but you factor in eBay standard envelope postage and the like, $179 if it sells is probably the lower bound for this type of card, which is true. That does match up with intuition. Does not guarantee that it will sell, but if it does, not an unreasonable price. Last thing I'll call out that really does not align with reality, but does make you think, and when you're doing these things in bulk, really you want to save as much time as possible, but also pause and think about things that you may not have caught or may not have realized. So, Chad Lewis, you probably have not heard of him. I don't even think he played a game in the major leagues, but in the 2010 Donruss Elite Extra Edition set, he does have a card. I was trying to sell a parallel that happened to be serial numbered to 200, one of these aspirations parallels. And this model actually churned out that maybe I should consider pricing this at around $10, which I think is a bit ludicrous just looking at the card, right? The guy never made the major leagues. But what this is telling me is I should think twice about my pricing. And it tells me to price it at 10.04. I may choose to do something with that. I may not. Maybe this is what causes me to look up comparable sales for this card or similar cards. And maybe I find that something is more popular than I would have guessed. And that's kind of the action point here. Although I actually listed this and I paid zero mind to the model's advice. I actually listed this just to see what would happen at $1.59. And within a couple days of having it listed, sure enough, it sold along with two others from the same set. And I have an automatic 25% discount applied to everything. So it cut 25% off of that $1.59. And I thought that was really interesting because I went with my gut. I priced it extremely low, what my gut thinks it should be worth. And that thing actually sold very, very quickly. It's probably actually still here. It's got to be on my first page. It's been so recent. But maybe the model, I should have listened to it a little more carefully. Maybe instead of 159, I could have listed it a little higher. And you can see these are the three cards that sold together just a few days ago. And I don't know, maybe this was too low of a price. The other thing that you need to keep in mind when listing these things on eBay, that if you're going with fixed price and a best offer enabled, which is what I do for every single one of my fixed price listings, you would much rather price it too high than too low at the get-go. The market will tell you, especially if it does not sell or you get a huge cluster of offers way, way below what you listed at, the market will tell you that your price is too high. So unless you're really trying to get rid of the card right away, there would not have been much harm to listing this thing at maybe even a ridiculous price of $10.04. Or perhaps I could have gone with this predicted upper bound of $5.75 as a better starting point. And if it doesn't sell for a month or two, I could then toggle that price down. And if I'm not in a hurry to sell, then I didn't leave any money on the table. The risk that I see, and I've unfortunately experienced too many times, is I price something and it sells right away. And then I look up comps and I see that I may have undersold what it's worth. So the goal of this algorithm with the machine learning is to help a seller like myself not underprice things, but to price things as fairly as possible to the point that they will sell at a great market value, and I might catch something that I would not have priced the same. So thank you for tuning in to recap, in this video, we walked through a machine learning approach to automatically fill in this price column on a bulk uploading template using an algorithm in the background that walks through historical sales data and then predicts what I should price the next car that I want to sell. This is super powerful. I'm really excited for the next phase of our development that factors in statistics and performance, because that will really help us narrow in to very accurate prices for these cards, and really at the bigger benefit at the end of the day, spending as little time as possible looking up comparable sales for things where we don't know the value. We'll have an update on that hopefully soon, so stay tuned, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think. As I already revealed, I had an issue with several of these things and how they were priced. So if you have similar issues or concerns, please let us know in the comments, because we really want to put some rigor into this machine and tell the machine when it's wrong or acting up. Again, thanks for listening, and we'll see you at the next video.